Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Die Hard, brought to us by Activision. Die Hard is a game based on the 1988 film of the same name starring Bruce Willis. Now as far as licensed movie games go, this one isn't too bad. It has some unique concepts as well as it follows the movie pretty well. Now before we get going with the game, there is a few things I want to tell you about the game. Now our main mission in the game is to save all the hostages as well as Holly. Now to accomplish this goal, we're going to have to take out all the terrorists and save the hostages before the terrorists succeed in their plot. There's a timer that ticks down during the game that shows all the electronic locks being brought down as well as other scenes throughout the game. Once the clock has ticked down fully and the locks are now open, you can go to the final floor of the game, face all the terrorists you didn't kill in the building, and take out the final boss. There isn't only one way to complete the goals. There's actually several different ways to go about playing the game, defeating all the terrorists, saving the hostages, and different scenes that you can get throughout the game. Now in this run of the game, I'm going to show the best ending. There's only one ending that kind of gives you a few little picture cutscenes at the very end of it, and that's the ending I'm going to get. However, there will be a quick bonus at the very end of the video to show a special scene that you can't get while getting the best ending, but I still think it's a pretty cool scene. So here we go with Die Hard on the NES. Like I said before, there are several different ways to complete the game. This is just my path, and if you've been one of those people who never played or haven't been able to complete the game, I hope this will help you out. Now you have a choice at the beginning between beginner and advanced. I'm going to be playing beginner. It's the one that I always played, and it's the one I'm most familiar with. Now you start off the game on the 32nd floor. There's several different enemies that usually spawn on the very first floor of the game, and so I recommend going around taking them out first. There's only a few different types of enemies in the game. There's the normal guys who are green and blue shirted, and then there's a red guy, the sub-boss Carl, who has a white shirt, and then the final boss himself, Gruber. Now green and blue guys are the main enemies you have to face. The green guys drop health items, while the blue guys will actually drop the radio item. As you can see, first I went to the 35th floor, traveled just up to this upper left corner here to grab the rocket. Sometimes the rocket doesn't spawn there, it spawns in different places, different times you play the game. Usually I like to restart my game till I get the rocket there just because it's the easiest, and I know where it is in that spot. I'm not sure all the spots for the rockets. There's that one, and there's a few other on actually this floor. It may all be on this floor, I'm not positive on that. We're going to have to use the rocket on the 4th floor. Now, once you have that rocket, or you can get it later, walk up here to the roof door. You won't be able to go in it, but once you go up there, you'll hear usually a little sound of the footsteps and such, and then a blue guy will spawn down here. Defeat him, and you'll be able to get the key to the roof. When you have the radio, the key, you can go up to the roof and contact the police. There is a total of 40 different terrorists in the game. You don't have to defeat them all while traveling through. Whatever ones you don't defeat will be actually on the 30th floor once it unlocks, but it's easier, obviously, to take them out as quick as possible while going through just your normal play of the game. Now, I just called the police, but you don't actually have to do that. This is one of the things towards the best ending in the game. There's several different endings, usually involving either calling the police or not, as well as having the detonator to activate the C4, or not having the detonator. The best ending involves you calling the police and keeping the detonator. There's a lot of health to pick up throughout the game, so that can help boost your health back up. You have a decent amount of health, but you can get drained quickly if you get into a bad firefight. There's also several vending machines, like you saw in that previous room that I shot, that get a lot of health quickly. One of the things that makes the game unique is you actually have a foot meter. As you remember in the movie, Bruce Willis' feet get pretty messed up in the film. The foot meter depletes every time you run in the game, which obviously makes you go faster, as well when you're walking on broken glass on a few floors. Now you can get medical supplies to heal up your foot meter, but once it runs out completely, you end up having to walk very slowly through the rest of the areas until you can find some health items or just continue on the game. Right now I use the vent system, drop down on this floor, took out the guy real quick, but then it allows me to gain access to the elevator. We're going to use the elevator to travel down to the 4th floor to take out the computer. Usually I like to hit the button for the elevator, get it to actually start activating, and then walk to that room to the right real quick to grab some of those health items to heal my feet. Now once in the elevator, sometimes it takes a long time for it to actually show up, travel to the 4th floor. Here's where we're going to use the missile, the rocket. You only get one shot. You need to twist it, shoot it in that direction to take out the computer. After you blow up the computer, you get a little cutscene with Theo, as well as you get a time bonus. You'll have a little bit more time to deal with some stuff, as well as some extra health items, including stuff to heal your feet. Now be careful with this elevator and this floor in general. The terrorists will take over the elevator after the second lock has been unlocked. If that happens, you'll end up being stuck down here. We are now done with the 4th floor. If you want to come back down here later, you can to defeat 2 terrorists, but you don't have to. At this point, we have a lot of the items that we're going to need in order to complete the game, but we still have a lot of time left to defeat a lot of the terrorists. So what we're going to do is travel to some of the other floors I haven't been to yet, and defeat the terrorists that are kind of just hanging out on those floors. As you can see, every time you go up or down a floor, the time depletes rather quickly, so you can use this to easily bring the time down so that you can complete the game quicker if you like. Now, the firefights that are going to take place between you and the terrorists can sometimes get a little bit of a pain, especially if you have multiple terrorists on screen at once. If you can possibly make it so there's only one on screen and you, so that you can kind of aim your shot the best that you possibly can to shoot him and defeat him. Now, the 33rd floor is probably the worst floor in the entire game. There's a lot of broken glass that can easily deplete your foot meter every time you shoot one of the glass windows there. Now, one other thing about glass or windows in general, you can actually fall out of the windows on the sides of the building, so make sure that you don't get too close to them, especially once they get shot and the broken glass starts going on the floor. Now at this point I'm just traveling around randomly, collecting some health items if I can find them, and defeating whoever I see. So there really isn't a particular strategy that I'm implying here. There's no real true way to hunt these guys down. Like I said before, waiting for the elevator can sometimes take forever, like it is right now. But it is a quicker way to get from one floor to another without depleting the time, if that's an issue to you if you want to complete some other stuff. However, sometimes it'll be just easier to travel up the stairs because you'll end up wasting less time than just sitting there waiting for the elevator to show up. Now here's the game's menu. You can see my ammo for my 2 guns, my C4, my flash grenades, as well as my health, my foot health, the amount of time left, how many locks have been unlocked, as well as the amount of crooks or terrorists that are still left in the building. Now as you can see, the second lock has been unlocked, so they have now taken control of that elevator. With this cutscene, we see that police have finally arrived at the scene. After a few seconds later, you'll see another quick cutscene with Gruber saying that the police have arrived. Now, many of the doors in the game, other than a few locked ones, or ones you have to use C4 to get through, you can just shoot them in order to enter them, and there's usually an item or 2 hidden inside, usually a health drink. Now, off a random terrorist, you will pick up the detonator. I'm not sure if it drops off that particular bald-headed terrorist, but once you have the detonator, you do get a little scene telling you about the detonator. You're wondering what it's going to be used for. Once you have it, you want to make sure you hold on to it, or if you want to get a different ending, you can drop the detonator at any point and lose it, and you'll get a different ending. In this run, since I am getting the best ending, or the one at least with a cutscene, I'll keep the detonator. A little while later, you get a scene with the armored car being blown up by the rockets of the terrorist. Now on the 33rd floor, here's an example where you can use the C4. You press the select button to change the B weapon, which can be either your running motion, your grenades, or the C4 as long as you have the detonator. Also, if you're on a floor wondering if anyone else is on the floor with you, you can usually hear the terrorists moving around. It'll sound like little footsteps moving, so that you know that someone else is on the floor with you. So you have to be careful while going through the shadows, entering areas, and preparing yourself, because at any point a terrorist could pop out. As you can see here, my foot meter has finally completely gone away, so I have to very slowly walk around areas, which can be really annoying, and it's usually best to try to hunt down some extra things to heal it up, but there usually isn't a ton of them available to you. I'm not sure of every location of them, but there's usually not enough to keep your foot meter full the entire time. But a lot of that will have to depend on how long you spend